Hi, my name is Caitlin Skorberg, and my presentation today is about the National Security Agency, better known as the NSA, and about what it collects, how much it collects, and why it does so. So what does the NSA collect? They collect big data. So what they're collecting is electronic surveillance. So the FISA Amendments Act of 2008 allowed for the monitoring of surveillance, electronic surveillance. They also are collecting foreign communications, radars, and other electronic systems. So any communications using electronics, the NSA is able to collect that. Additionally, they're collecting metadata. So it's not necessarily what's just being said in these electronic communications, but the data about that. So in that silly image on the bottom about with the cat is the data. The metadata is the name of the cat, the location of the cat, when that cat was at that location. So the metadata that they are collecting about these electronic communications is the IP address of both communicators, the identity of the contact, the location of calls or messages, and the duration of the contact. There are 3 different processes of this collection. So the first one is human operated. So in many retail stores, they have CCTV cameras that are, videotaping what's going on. So while this doesn't seem like it's a human interaction, it is, because there is somebody behind the camera who is watching these tapes and determining what they want to do with them. There's also without human interaction. So these are like transactions or cell phones. An example of this is someone going to the bank and taking out $200. The transaction shows who took out that money, how much money they took out, where they took it out, and when they took that money out. The third one is volunteer. So the reason that there's quotes around that is because it is 100% volunteer. When the person is accepting terms and conditions or allowing cookies, they are volunteering their information. Just many people haven't read the fine print or read the details and understood that they actually are what they are volunteering. A lot of this is done through machine learning. So essentially, someone goes and puts an algorithm into a machine and has it look for something. So an example of this could be someone sends out 10 different sets of data and is looking for data that has the number 5 in it. And the machine is given that algorithm to find the set of data that has the number 5 in it. What the machine does is it runs through all those sets of numbers, determines if there's a number 5 in it, and then in its results shares how many sets of data where that set of data had the number 5 in it. So that's important to know because of how much data is collected. So the NSA shares that 1,826 petabytes of data is collected each day. So to put that into perspective, 1 petabyte is equivalent to 1 million gigabytes, and the average cell phone has 128 to 256 gigabytes of data. So that's a lot of data that's collected each day, and that data cannot be, deciphered through, just people reading through it. So machine learning goes through all of that data and then, according to its algorithm, flags information that is useful to the NSA. So of the total data, 1.6% is processed by the NSA. So that's given by the machine learning. And then of the total, 0.025% of that amount of data collected is actually processed by the NSA. So of that flag data, only 0.025% of it that was flagged is actually determined or looked into or is collected and analyzed by the NSA to determine if there is a terror threat or whatever else that they are looking for within that algorithm. So the NSA 100% has the authority to do this for 2 reasons. So the first one is the USA Patriot Act of 2001 and its improvement and reauthorization in 2005. So the USA Patriot Act stands for Uniting and Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism Act. So this was brought about after 9/11 as a way of collecting data to prevent anything like 9/11 ever happening again. They also have the Executive Order 12333 that allows for the collection of U.S. citizen data as well as anyone utilizing U.S. communication providers. So it's not just the people within the U.S. that are being having their electronic surveillanced, but also anyone using those U.S. communication providers. So this executive order also allows not just for them to collect this data, but to hold on to it, analyze it, and disseminate it as well. So the NSA gives multiple reasons for collection, and the number one is Homeland Security. So the Patriot Act, which allowed for the collection of data, was brought about after 9/11. Homeland Security was brought about after 9/11. The War on Terror was brought up after 9/11. So a lot of the reason for collection is because of terrorism. The NSA has shared that they've been able to detect terror cells, persecute terrorists, and trace information back to terrorists. So that is their way of justifying why they are collecting this data, because of what they've been able to do. Another reason is that they're being able to identify potential criminals. This was brought on by the war of drugs and the way of being able to track where drugs are coming from and who's associated with it all. A little bit more of a local take on this is that U.S. cities have used big data as a way of finding potential criminals or crime mapping where certain crime has happened. So they've been able to have a lot of benefits from collecting this data. The NSA also wanted a modern take on terror and crime. Those associated with the war on terror and with the war on drugs, they've taken a modern approach in terrorizing and in the spread of and selling of drugs. So it's important for the NSA to match that modern take and to do something modern with what they within their efforts to ensure that they are putting their best foot forward in fighting in the war on terror and fighting in the war on drugs. My final remarks on the NSA is that there are many opinions out there on the NSA. The number one concern is this an invasion of privacy? People believe that it's not ethical for the NSA to be collecting all of this data from American citizens. Someone did suggest that maybe the NSA should instead be just collecting metadata instead of collecting or deciphering all of our information and just going through, some of the more basic information of electronic communications. Though it is important to note that the collection of big data allows for prediction, and Eric Siegel shared that prediction is better than guesswork. This allows for those fighting in the war on terror and fighting in the war on drugs to make data-driven decisions. Siegel also mentioned that predictions don't help unless you do something about them. So it's really important that we've been given this opportunity to make data-driven decisions and to make predictions about what's potentially going to happen. An important concern that was brought about is that there needs to be ensured that there is always a human element. The reason behind this is that the U.S. Homeland Security Department collected a lot of data and tried to determine a potential list of terrorists. And many people on that list were not terrorists and had no connection whatsoever to terror. So it is important that this data, that the information that it's given to these people, that it is gone through by humans and to determine if there is an overestimation or potentially an underestimation. So it's important that the U.S. citizens are, that the decisions that are being made with their data know that there is a human element to it as well, and that that data isn't making the decision, but that data helps to drive the decision. Finally, these are all of the references that I used for my presentation. Thank you.